Hey everybody, it's Libby again with Fearlessness. What is fearlessness? It's the underlying grit that empowers us as entrepreneurs to forge ahead. Even when hope seems distant, it's the courage to walk through those fires of hell, knowing that we're going to come out not just better, but stronger on the other side. Stay tuned and learn how to get fearlessness. I'm your host, Libby DeLucien, and today Amanda is our guest. And we have, what better guest to have to teach us how to get stronger than Amanda. Amanda, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, yes. So thanks so much for having me on. And as you said, we're definitely going to get stronger after everything we're going to learn on this episode. And so my background is I am a health and fitness coach. I actually currently reside in the UK, but I'm from Canada originally. So for those of you who are trying to figure out where that accent is from, so a bit of everything. And I basically help corporate and kind of high achieving business owners really utilize the power of fitness and good nutrition in order to not just benefit themselves and their workplace productivity and really grow and have produce thriving businesses, but also to make sure and help their employees and anyone else in their working and personal circle achieve the same things so that you can have healthy, thriving businesses along with a healthy, thriving personal self.
Can you tell us, how'd you get into fitness? Have you always been, was it something you were always into, or how did you get into opening your own business, especially in the fitness realm?
Yeah, a bit of a crazy story. So I have been in the industry for over 10 years and started out in Canada. I actually have a degree in kinesiology. I think it's a bit more well-known in the States, not really as well-known here, but basically it's the study of, human science and physiology, anatomy, and biomechanics. So I'm certified in that. And I'm also a group fitness instructor. That's what got me kind of into the industry from a working perspective. However, when I did start out though, even though I kind of knew what to do and what to say, I wasn't really following it per se. So I struggled also with a long time and years of disordered eating and using exercise as a punishment. And it actually wasn't until I came to the UK and actually when the pandemic happened that I really did the mindset work in order to get the body that I wanted to and really optimize my body with good food and sustainable fitness regimens. And I was actually able to lose about 50 pounds during the COVID pandemic, which I know for some people it went a different way. But in my case, I used that time to really focus on myself and my health and was able to do that. And I've been able to sustain it ever since. And so I really do find that there is a gap in the market of, we get bombarded with, we get told of what to eat and what to do. And a lot of the time it's eat less and move more. And there's all these different diets and different workout plans to follow. And what I realized in my own work is that we actually have to address the mindset first and realize what we're doing it for, what our why is, and actually take a bit of time to figure out what we actually enjoy and what we're going to stick with. And that's when the real results happen. And so I knew that I needed to get out there. And so now I help others do this.
So I love this topic because when I started to focus on health and fitness, it really changed my business. It didn't just change me. It changed how I lead, how I manage, how I think, my clarity, my energy. It changed everything. And I really love this topic. And as you were talking, I didn't come to this realization by myself. So for our listeners, I had a coach that helped me figure out that this was the most important thing for my business, was my physical and mental health. He's from Canada. His name's Dan Martell.
Great.
But he's a SaaS founder, but I didn't come to this realization by myself. And I love something that you just said. And I think women do this often, is that we use like working out or even diet as a form of punishment. Like, it's almost like, I have to, go on a diet, or I have to do these things instead of like, I get to, enjoy going to the gym, or I get to have the freedom of choosing the food, that instead of like, we look at it like a negative or like a punishment. And I never thought of that until you just said it. And I think that probably women struggle more than men with that because of, I don't know, like mindset issues we have, issues we have with like what we're supposed to look like. I know for me, this is going to sound so weird, but I always struggled with the fact that I weighed more than my husband. And it's just like it was just 100% a mindset issue. So I love this mindset topic about, instead of just like picking a diet or going to the gym, figuring out what is our why, what's our blocker, what's the mindset that we have to overcome to really get to the next version of ourself,
Mhm.
and whatever that
Yeah,
is.
and I truly
And,
think that
I was
I
looking at
totally hit the nail on the
questions
head in the sense that women definitely go through a
to
lot more. Yeah, I
mhm,
definitely feel like women struggle with it a lot more. And I find that's because we've spent, most of our cases, decades looking back in the day at magazines of what perfect looked like. And now we're getting even bombarded even more with Instagram and TikTok and online articles. And a lot of the time when clients first come to me, they literally show me a picture and say, I want to look like this, or even dissect, I want these glutes and these abs and this butt. And it's just a lot of pressure. And we get bombarded with, this diet's going to get you those results. Oh, actually, wait, it's this workout plan's going to get you these results. And it's just a lot of noise and confusion. And if we are doing it just for an external reason, it is a lot harder to stick. And as well, when it comes to seeing this punishment, I've been guilty of this in the past when I would maybe have a bad, weekend out, maybe ate a bit more than I want to, had a couple extra drinks. The first thing I would think of, okay, going to start Monday and I'm going to do a strenuous, hour on the treadmill, and I'm going to feel until I throw up and feel miserable. And from human psychology standpoint, when do we ever as humans do something again that we are punished for? Never, right? Always has to be a reward. And it's not until you find the actual why and a positive reward that you're doing it for is when it's going to stick. And for me, it really turned into rather doing it for external reasons or for somebody else or to fit in a certain outfit for a certain vacation I was going on. It actually really needed to change into, okay, what do I want to be 5 to 10 years from now? I know in my case, I moved over to the UK for my now husband, but it was so I could, feel comfortable and confident when we get married. When I want to have kids, that I'm in a really good physical, healthy state in order to have that. When I become a mom, that I want to be able to be there for my kids, live an active lifestyle instead of positive result, rather than show them what an awful relationship with food looks like. So it wasn't until I really wanted to see how I wanted to be in the long term, rather than just this short kind of project of like, I have to do this for 3 months to get to X. But what's after X, right? If you just see it as a job, or a project, what do you do after the job or project is done? It really has to be a lifelong lifestyle change that you want to make to further kind of improve yourself in both, your professional in some cases, but especially personal life as well.
Awesome. So I'm going to get into some questions as you lead into that, because it's
Yeah.
on how can we as entrepreneurs, one, what different things can be improved by having a great diet, a good exercise routine. And we're going to go through those, but I want to ask you a few questions on tips. So
Mm-hmm.
what are some tips that can help really create a daily routine, as small as it is? Do you have any tips that can really help with our listeners just take the first step?
Yeah, totally. And I think let's put an example just to put it into applicable terms. So let's say for a habit you want to make, it's maybe to improve your, fitness, saying, okay, I'm really feeling sluggish and I'm just working all these hours of the day and I'm really just feeling down, but I really want to get into a fitness routine to maybe help out with this. So there's a few things you can do and a couple steps you can do to actually get that stick, rather than think, okay, I'm going to commit myself, especially if you're starting from zero, then I'm going to commit to 5 workouts a week at an hour a day. That's going to set you up for failure. Full
Yes.
stop in the beginning, because especially if you're starting from zero, going to that much, and think of it almost kind of like climbing a mountain. If you're trying to go up the top,
we have so much guilt because like we haven't done anything. So we're like, oh,
yeah,
I got to start, like, I got to just do 5 days a week, an hour a day, and we're going to fail. It's
yeah,
not going to
and
be
then
sustainable.
Yeah. And you're trying to reach for 100% perfection. And rather than thinking of that, especially you might do one day, might feel.
Hi, we're Meg and Amy from The Meg and Amy Show.
We're not only tech execs and big picture thinkers, we're also best friends.
We're curious learners. And on this podcast, we're challenging the status quo and activating the future.
And we're going to give advice about work and leadership, right, Meg?
You know, we can't help ourselves. But this podcast is about exploring possibility, not being right.
That sounds refreshing.
For more, tune in to The Meg and Amy Show.
Great. But then maybe let's say crazy busy day at work happens. And then on the Tuesday, you can't get it in. You're already thinking, okay, I've already failed. I can't even do a full week. What's even the point? And you start back from square zero. So there's a few things to put into place. One is to make it easy. 2 is to make it attractive. 3 is to make it obvious. And then 4 is to make it rewarding and satisfying. So think of to make it easy, rather than trying to commit yourself to 5, workouts a week and an hour a week, stick to literally just 1. And even make it even more simple is 5 minutes. My biggest question I love to ask with my clients and myself is this super easy? And if almost like it's too easy to do. And if the answer is yes, you stick with that. Just start there. Because if you already think it's super easy, you'll do the 5. And a lot of the time, once you actually show up and start that 5 minutes, you'll probably do more. You'll probably end up doing 10 or 15 and actually increase from the actual 5. A way to make it obvious is, let's say, you put your running shoes right at, and your workout outfit on your, whether it's your dresser or on your, if you have a bed chair or anything like that, it is in your spot that, so before you go to bed, you see it, the first thing you wake up, you see it, it's there reminding you, rather than having it, tucked away, gym bag, not done. At least if everything's prepared and obvious, it's a lot easier and gives you a visual cue to get it done. How do you make it attractive, which is what I kind of brought into earlier, but actually make it enjoyable? If you don't like strength training, there's no point in trying to commit yourself into doing a crazy, gym strength training session, right? Make it something that you enjoy, even if it's just a start of just a simple walk around the block. If you have dogs, this is great. They're great accountability partners. Make it go
they
for
won't
walks.
forget.
No, and they need them. They love them.
Yeah.
They will. I have personally a Cocker Spaniel and a Cockapoo at home, and they absolutely love the walks. It is their favorite part of the day, so it makes it easy. So do something that you actually like doing. And then how to make it rewarding or satisfying. It can be as simple as, if you're kind of a visual tick of the box person, which I think a few people listening, if not a lot of people listening, might relate. I know I do. Having it, booking it on a calendar, ticking it off, kind of getting that visual satisfaction from it. But I also am a big proponent of, let's say you commit to, that one workout a week, that's 5 minutes. If you do that every, once a week for the next 4 weeks, you can get yourself a new pair of running shoes, or maybe book yourself a nice kind of little self-care treatment that you've wanted. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, monetary. It can even, be something as simple as, maybe going to see your friends or having a nice, bath, whatever kind of floats your boat in the sense of making you feel good and feels really rewarding is great. And at the time, it will have to start with something maybe a bit, more monetary, materialistic to get you going. But in time, it will shift into just a mental and positive reward. So I know in my case now, which has become part of my routine, that I actually need to exercise to actually mentally feel better and show up for my work. Like, my husband can actually notice if I haven't made it to the gym yet, he's like, you need to go, because you need to kind of sort yourself out, that you are a better human when you do it, basically. And you're kind of more, productive and more and more with yourself when you are. So that shift will happen. But in the beginning, you kind of have to treat yourself. You're allowed to treat yourself, right? So that's kind of the easy ways to get started on
those tips. To make it easy, what we did in our own home was we pushed our couch forward and we made a little workout area behind the couch, because my husband likes kettlebells, and we homeschool our daughter, so we kind of needed to make it easy where we could do little stuff here and there, but just having it in front of us. So that was also worked as have it convenient, in front of you. That really helped us just get started.
Yeah.
It was great. And then make it attractive. It's funny because one of my friends says to make it attractive is go buy some really nice workout clothes. And so that you want to put them on, so that you look good and you feel good when you put them on. It's kind of the attractive part, but like the other side of the attractive side where you feel good when you put them on and you're like, oh, like these are some really nice Lululemon pants. I would never have bought them, but he's like, because then you want to put them on, you want to work out, and it kind of does work with that attractive piece. But, you know, those are great tips. And I love just the simplicity of them. You know, my husband, as crazy as it sounds, drives around and he has a kettlebell in the back of his car. So like, even if he's traveling, he can do a 5-minute workout somewhere. He doesn't forget. And I'm like, that's a waste of 25 pounds you're driving around in your car in gas. But he's like, hey, I need it because it works for me. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. And it'll look differently for everybody, right? And again, that kind of goes into the obvious bit as well. Like it's in the car. If it was actually stored away somewhere every single time, it's not in your, first frame of mind and might forget about it. Or a lot of the times too, definitely we can be guilty. This is business owners of where we try to find kind of every single excuse in the book to try and do like stuff that we should be doing, but aren't doing, right? And kind of with working out, especially in the beginning, that can be an easy excuse of, oh, I have this meeting, or, oh, I have, this to attend to, and spending those extra few seconds of getting at the kettlebell or setting up your workout clothes might seem like a bit too much friction. So by doing these simple tips, it's just easing the friction a little bit and making it a lot more simpler and easier and more efficient for you to do and actually get done.
Yes. And, as business owners, and I was one of these business owners too, I'm too busy, right? I don't have time. I'm too busy. From the second I roll out of bed, I'm talking to customers, talking to employees. I don't have time. I'm already tired. And I did that too for years. And I think that we pride ourselves off of being busy. But we could be busy all day long and doing stuff. And you look back and you reflect on the day and you're like, what did I do? I was just busy being busy. And I think sometimes working out, like stopping and taking a break and working out and creating some of these small habits actually gives us back more time, because when we do work, we work with more clarity and more intention versus surface level work. And so I want to get into now, how can stress management, right? So working out can help stress management, your mental clarity, your energy levels, your work-life balance. It can actually help your leadership abilities, goal setting. It prevents burnout, and it creates and builds on resilience. So like that alone is like encompasses everything we need as business owners. Like those are the things that we're chasing. It's like, how do we be a better leader? How do we deal with the stress? How do we do these things? And just by starting these small tips, looking at our physical health and our nutrition, like what are we eating, is just the smallest steps we can take. So I want to know, like, as far as the things that I listed, what are some other tips that you can give us on how these help us with that? Like, how does this help me with leadership? Like, how does this help me become more resilient in my business by establishing some of these routines?
And so first off, on the stress point, where technically actually exercise is a stressor, but it's kind of a positive stressor. So we're putting ourselves under physical stress. But by doing that, then when we recover, we're actually building our physical resilience and thresholds to other stressors throughout our day. So for, you have a great routine at the moment, but for those listening who you think that, how am I going to possibly get there? That just by experimenting and just starting a bit, you might actually notice of when you get, that morning workout in the day, even if it's just simple, quick, 20 or 30 minute one, or even a walk around the block during your lunch day, that when you actually deal with the work stressors and kind of the micro stressors that pop up, whether it's with employees or within kind of suppliers and all that type of stuff, you'll actually be able to deal with those little things better. So rather than having, that shorter fuse, you can actually show up and deal with it more effectively. I've seen that time and time again. I also have lots of clients where when they do their, morning workouts, where actually they've actually said it the first hand of they're actually able to deal with the kind of the mini stuff. They can really focus on the larger things and not let the little things get to them. And so they can get more done during the day. There's also a great thing with productivity. And actually, you might think initially that, oh, if I just sit, and get this work done for 8 hours straight, I'm going to get so much more done. How is a half an hour walk going to, help with this? And where I can spend that other half an hour on the phone or responding to emails. We're actually, as humans, we're not meant to be at a desk working 8 hours a day. And there's only actually within an hour, it's like the most you can get that's actually pure productivity can be 40 minutes if you're lucky. And after that, then the distractions come in and you're not actually doing good quality work because your mind needs a bit of a break. And so if you get that quick, workout in or walk in or whatever that looks like for you, you'll actually be able to go in and studies have shown this, that you're actually going to get more amount of work done in less time because of that little, workout or bit of movement that you put into place. So there is actual scientific evidence shown of both stress management on your resilience and how to, deal with stressful things in work and in your personal life, as well as your productivity, that actually, if you get that movement in, you will be more productive in a less amount of time. And then you have more time in your day to do maybe extra tasks you want, or be there, for your, your partner or family life if you have one, and be able to time manage better rather than just slumping on the computer or, at your workspace all day long and just feel absolutely exhausted by the end of the day and feel like you didn't actually get that much done.
I love that. And it's 100% true. Again, crazy person working all day, didn't understand that I needed to stop and move. I think for me, one of the hardest things, and I think a lot of our listeners could agree, is that when I started my business, I worked in the field. I was physically doing the job. So there was some movement in there. And then as the business grew and my position changed, I became stagnant. I would sit all day trying to figure out how to work Google, workspace, or trying to figure out something. And I became where I felt more tired now sitting at a desk all day. And, for our listeners, I want to hear from you guys. Have you felt that shift? I felt more tired than I did if I was physically working all day than sitting at a desk for like 6 to 8 hours. It was exhausting. And I had to learn and this is something, guys, it took me a long time to learn. Like I'm going on like 3 years and of like really focusing on this, but I can see the difference in my businesses. I can see the difference in my leadership. I can see the difference in myself and how I show up. And, it took a long time for me to learn to like, hey, I got to set an alarm to like stop working and stand up. I got to set an alarm to like go walk around the block. And I would actually make our office staff go walk around the block. And so me and Amanda on the WootRecruit blog, you guys can go over and check that one out. We're going to talk about how can we incorporate this into our employees and how does that help our business over there? So you got to make sure you go over and catch the WootRecruit blog. But I 100% am a testament to, you can actually work less and get more done if that less time that you're working on is you focus on yourself and like what you're eating and your exercise. But I thought that it was amazing that it builds resilience. It's like a muscle. It builds the ability to take more stress. And if you see these high-level people who can, like you ask yourself, like, man, how do they handle that? Like, how are they not scared to approach the hard things or do the difficult things? I think this is one of the biggest contributing factors is that, they do work out, they do eat right for them, for their body type. And it shows in the way they show up and lead.
Yeah. And with that leadership point as well, a really important thing to point out is that actually the way, especially in a leadership position, the way you show up does rub off on your employees and those around you. So if you are leading the example of working crazy hours, sitting at the desk and not taking yourself physically and nutritionally and all of that, that's going to rub off, and that's going to set, example to the others to do the same. And then really then the productivity is going to go down overall, workplace absence will increase. And I remember, especially when COVID happened, there was a big kind of surge of, especially working from home, and, our working hours were increasing because you can now be contacted at any point in time. There's no more 9 to 5, right? It could be as early as 6, like, especially with lawyers that I've worked with, like 6 a.m. getting calls and then going all the way till 10, 11 plus PM. And finding that balance is really difficult. Where actually, if you're saying that example of being able to, the best recommendation I can actually give is when you actually putting it in the workplace calendars, if you're a leader in any sort of business, of actually allowing, your staff to put in their like kind of synced calendars of when they're working out. So I had one client where they're worried to put in, their Peloton workouts. They just put it as like a recurrent meeting and just said it was a meeting. Didn't actually say it was Peloton, but it was actually their Peloton time. Is they put their half an hour time. No one could get into it. And actually we had a chat of saying, well, maybe let's try and put this in the workplace and try to this to be accepted. We shouldn't feel bad about giving a half an hour out of our day. That's 2% out of your whole entire day towards yourself. And why should you feel bad?
I was trying to hack Peloton. I was trying to hack Peloton because I wanted to figure out how to do a Zoom call on the screen while on the Peloton, and they won't let you. Like, I was like, man, if they just let us just add Zoom as an app, I could do like 100 meetings on Peloton. I could multitask. Which
that's a good.
Isn't good to do. It isn't good to do, but I'm like, man, you know how many, like, just even to learn, like, oh, I could watch one of the modules in maybe a course I'm in, instead of like watching the trainer. I could just listen, or just ride on the Peloton as I'm. But I was trying to hack Peloton and I couldn't figure out how to do it. I'm sure someone's done it.
Anyone out there who knows, but so super important that, and we actually were able to, the boss actually was on board with it, and now everyone on the team has actually dedicated time in their calendar that's treated as non-negotiable. They can't be booked in. That's their workout time. And it's just kind of communicating that, saying, if we can have it done. But if the leader starts doing that, or if the boss if you set that as an example first, you're going to get massive rewards from it. So don't feel afraid to do that.
What are some mindset tips? Because, you had originally started with, we all look at some of this as forms of punishment. Like, we ate too much. I've gained a few pounds. I have to do this. But you had said at the beginning that it's kind of going back to that why, and first overcoming the mindset. And I think that we can schedule it in our calendars and we can do all kinds of things. What are a few tips for that entrepreneur to work through it in their mind, right? Our minds are just a little bit crazy and easily distracted. We're stubborn. Like, we think we just know everything. We think our businesses are the best and they're special and they're different, and they are kind of, but it's because they're our babies and we're so protective of those businesses. But we have some real mindset blockers when it comes to feeling guilty. And I've heard a lot of women say this, is that they feel guilty. And you talked about it with the Peloton. You feel guilty when you do certain things, that you're not working 8 hours at the desk. Like, you feel guilty that you're not working or clocking in like some of your office staff or some of the field staff. But at the same time, we carry a different amount of pressure and stress and risk. So we have to do these things so that we can not allow the pressure and the stress to eat us alive from the inside out.
Yeah.
So, and I've been there. You can feel it eating you alive from the inside out, the stress and the pressure. What are some tips for the mindset that we can give our listeners to kind of help with that blocker?
I think the first thing with mindset, and actually just to kind of put it in a visual, would be think of, so any thought that we have will transition into a feeling, which will then go into a behavior, which will then turn into a consequence. And then typically that's a cycle. that repeats. So then that consequently leads to a thought, feeling, behavior, and then just keeps going. And we have the choice whether to make that a vicious cycle or a virtuous one. So back to the example of kind of maybe using, the form of exercise, like a punishment, or like think of the thought, I have to do this. I have to do this to get X result, or to lose weight, or, because someone told me. Feeling of that, you're not going to feel that motivated, right? You might for a little bit, but you're doing it out of fear. You're doing it out of obligation to some external reason. And maybe you'll act on it, but a lot of the times you're probably going, if you're feeling like it's a punishing thing, you're not going to actually do it, or find every sort of excuse in the book to find some other thing that's more important to do. Then the consequence is you miss that workout that you planned. And then again, that thought, then the new thought is, I can't stick to anything and I just don't have the time for it. And then see how that vicious circle repeats itself. And so
it's
really,
like it chips away at your self-confidence almost if you allow that to keep happening. And it's like you're eroding yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of the times this cycle has been going on for years, if not decades, for all of us, right? And it's a mental habit. So physical habits and mental habits are just as powerful in their own right. But if you can at least now see that almost in a visual, then it just makes it really simple. And that all we have to do is just adjust the thought. It doesn't even have to be, I don't want to get into, the toxic positivity of it has to be some completely different thing. It can just be neutral, right? It can just be, I like to do example for the exercise of like, I have to do this. I love to switch it to, I get to do this. Like I get to do this quick workout today. And what really made me kind of feel that is I've actually had a loved one around me, which right before the pandemic actually, and they had gotten a severe, accident and actually became a quadriplegic. And so and seeing that transition of, and I think of her every time and she used to be really athletic and, was even like on all the university athletic teams and everything. And now obviously she had this happen to her. And so when I go out for a walk, even if I don't want to, I'm like, actually, not everyone gets to do that. And so even just switching it into, I have to do this, almost like it's a chore or a job I get to do this, then you're going to feel a bit more motivated. You're likely going to act on it and get it done. Consequence, you're going to feel a lot better, feel a lot more achieved. And then the thought is, okay, I'm able to be consistent. I'm able to do this. I'm able to show up. And it turns it a bit more virtuous. So again, it doesn't have to be a complete, positive. You have to believe in it as well to an extent, but just doing a little simple mindset shift like that. And just challenging the thought, really. It all starts with the thought, just one simple thought. So if you can just act on that and just challenge it every time, then we can try and work through that cycle and make them more harmonious. And it won't happen overnight because again, a lot of these mental habits have been developed for decades. So don't give yourself the pressure of being able to just change it overnight, but just something as simple and as teeny as that. And it'll become more recurrent, become more common, and there'll be your new way of addressing things.
I love that. That's great. So before we wrap up, and thank you so much for the visual, I have something similar to that on the visual, but it's more like, how can I get the response I want? Like when I have a thought. So it's almost the same thing, but mine is like, how can I control the outcome to create a positive outcome? Very similar, but love that visual. One last question before we wrap up, we've been on for 30 minutes, is that I see that you offer like health coaching, personal training, and fitness classes. And we'll make sure that we put your information in the show notes so that if anyone wants to reach out to you for any help or guidance. But can you tell us what would be what exactly is the difference? So I think I know the fitness classes are more of an obvious answer, but if somebody's struggling, what would be a good person for a health coach versus a personal training?
Definitely. So I think the main difference is the personal training. It's more of definitely focus on more of the fitness aspects, more of your workouts and making plans for that. And sometimes you can get into the nutritional sets things as well and kind of do meal plans and stuff like that. Whereas with health coaching, it's definitely more of a holistic approach in where I really address the mindset aspect. So I find, and why I offer the two and why there's kind of two, in the industry is because, again, everyone's unique and has different needs and certain preferences. And I find the personal training's a really good avenue to do, whether you can do it if you're a beginner or even if you're a seasoned pro, depending on what you're looking to achieve, that the personal trainer can really help you achieve the specific, fitness goals that you're looking for, maybe nutritional goals as well. Whereas the health coaching, it gets a little bit deeper. It's a bit of a deep dive. Like, yes, personal training, you have your chats and whatever else, but it doesn't always get into really the crux and kind of 360 work. And so where health coaching comes in is where the mindset pillar gets put into place. And I really find that's actually the most important. So when I work on 3 pillars where it's mindset, nutrition, and movement, and I put the mindset at the number 1 pillar, 100%. And I think that's where a lot of the industry, where they miss the mark, and they miss that mark, I think sometimes on purpose, because it's not scalable, because again, everyone's different. So how can you scale that? Because everyone has different childhood upbringings on how they learned about food, like from their parents, maybe, the relationship with food as they grew up, what the relationship with food is and exercise is now. Everyone's gonna be completely different. So what we do with the health coaching sphere is really get into the crux of that and really find out how you got to where you got to. And then we can use that to bring you into a more harmonious, kind of peaceful place with your health and your wellness and your fitness. And so that's more of a, again, deep dive, gets into the one-on-one. So even though we still address the nutrition and fitness, what they do with me, and usually many coaches as well, is get into the mindset bit. So having a conversation like this, like one-to-one, whether it's online or in person, but really, doing that deep work. And again, not everyone is essentially ready for that, which is why, there's the 2 different options. It's based on kind of where you are in your journey and what work you want to put into it. But I find it's totally transformational. It was transformational for me when I did it. And I did do, once I went to the UK, I did do a health coaching and nutrition integrative coaching course to be accredited. And so, I put kind of the mindset spin on it. And the transformations I've seen is unbelievable, because once they hit the mindset work and put the little time in, then it's definitely a lifestyle transformation rather than, a 3 or 6 month kind of quick fix kind of thing. It goes above and beyond that, which has been really amazing to see in the impact that not only my clients achieve, but then what others achieve, what they do, with the rest of their family, with the kids, their kids, and the examples that they lead going into their workplace, into their personal lives, into their families and friends, which has been amazing.
I love that, because I think that by addressing the mind first, we probably actually get faster long-term results versus trying to just focus on the external, like working out and what we look like from an external aspect.
Exactly.
So I love the mindset around it, and I think it's so important. I think it's overlooked as well, like you had mentioned. But guys, we need to wrap up. So I want to thank Amanda so much for being a guest on the Fearlessness Podcast. And we will make sure that we put Amanda's contact information in the show notes. So if you want to reach out to her, through social media, you want to follow her, or if you're interested in her health coaching. But I want to thank our listeners for listening to the Fearlessness. If you want to find more episodes like this and you're an entrepreneur, just go to thefearlessness.com, or you can always go to libbyd.com as well. And we want to thank our sponsor, WootRecruit, for always sponsoring our podcast. And guys, that's a wrap. Remember that every step we take is a move towards our own strengths and courage. Keep walking through those fires, because on the other side lies a version of yourself that's unstoppable. I'm Libby, reminding you to embrace your fearlessness. Until next time, stay brave, stay bold, and keep pushing forward.